All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're now in game number 3 of this best of 7 show match. The map is Ohana, and spawning in the bottom right position as the red Protoss, ladies and gentlemen, we have the one, the only, it is Grubby. But his opponent taking a game off of him in game number 2. What will he be able to do this time around, representing Team Dignitas with some excellent late game Zerg play there? It is JonnyREcco. Incredible players here. Grubby, of course, a very, very established veteran, a very long time pro gamer. He was prolific in Warcraft 3 and still has an absolutely huge following from that scene. Progressing into StarCraft 2, where we can see the number of fans he has is only increasing on a daily basis. JonnyREcco, in the meantime, rose to prominence in the UK scene, doing very well, winning the last I-Series at I-46. I-47, of course, coming up with that £5,000 prize pool that I was telling you guys about just before this game started, and one of the youngest players around at, I believe, the age of 16 at the moment. So really, really incredible stuff coming out from him, and he has now taken a game off of Grubby. The monkey is off his back, and he's going to see what he can do here. The pool has gone down in the main base of JonnyREcco, so it's now just a matter of time before Lings pop out to try and prevent this probe from doing any additional harassment. Grubby still continuously trying to stop JonnyREcco from mining on the close mineral patches, doing a very, very good job with the APM of that probe. Notice that actually he's not holding any minerals. He's able to pull the probe back long before any sort of harassment occurs. Really, really good stuff there. Of course, once you have minerals mined by the probe, you're simply unable to mine anymore, so you can't keep up that harassment indefinitely. We have got, though, a drone at the third base location, and he will be able to get the hatch down despite the pylon getting put down at the natural expansion. So, and it looks like Grubby knows about this, and he's going to want to try and do something against it as well. A second probe coming out and putting a pylon in the back here. Note that JonnyREcco cannot see this at the moment, and the third base is effectively going to get cannon rushed. 4 Lings out, and that's going to be so important for JonnyREcco. He did not want to. He's going to need as many Lings as required to deal with this threat in the third base, and the first cannon's going down. Now, does JonnyREcco see it? No, he does not. The vision of the hatchery does not extend past the mineral line. He is still busy taking apart this pylon here at the natural expansion. Grubby delaying as much as he can with that probe, and it looks like he will be able to. The pylon only now just going down, but 2 cannons are already on their way, and the first one is going to finish at the third base. This is not going to be pleasant for JonnyREcco at all. He has got an Overlord at the natural expansion, so he is going to be able to see that something is up. He notes that there are no units. We don't actually see too many gateways or cybernetics cores hanging around. I wonder if that's twigging him to something, but if that doesn't twig him to something, then certainly the presence of this cannon is, as the cannon, for some reason, was... Wow, he was actually going for his own building for a second there, but JonnyREcco able to stop this just in time. He cancels the hatchery before it's too late. Does not want to risk losing his hatch completely to these cannons, because he saw that there were 2 of them up and running, and then he's just going to be getting his natural expansion and moving on with his game. Now, don't forget, Grubby, for all his good work with the cannons at the third base location, has delayed putting down his gateway and his cybernetics core. So this doesn't mean that he's in a hugely advantageous position at the moment. What it means is that he's thrown JonnyREcco off his game. He wanted to go up to the third hatchery as quickly as he can and just play normally, and Grubby has basically stopped him from doing that. We can see JonnyREcco is actually trying to build his third hatch here, which is actually somewhat risky. It's a much more of an exposed location over here, and it's very difficult to connect all this distance by creep. He's probably going to have to put a creep trim on the high ground here somewhere and see if he can just about extend the creep down here, but he still needs to find a way to effectively defend all of his bases. So that is what Grubby's cannon rush at the third base has accomplished this early in the game. In the meantime, the cybernetics core is now only halfway complete. Another pylon going down to try and stall any sort of potential attack against this wall off, making sure that if the first pylon goes down, these buildings are still going to be powered. Doesn't want any sort of sneaky stuff coming in from JonnyREcco now. He has Lings gathered outside of the third base. The Overlord's going to spot exactly how many cannons there are. He sees there are only 2 with that hatchery, so not too much to worry about. JonnyREcco actually picking apart a probe in the middle of the map there with a queen. So I think that should let Grubby know that JonnyREcco might be trying to hide a base somewhere else, and indeed, he's actually seen that. So he knows that the third base is up for JonnyREcco in a little bit of an obscure location. Now we wait and see if Grubby thinks he might be able to execute some sort of timing against his third base that's just a little bit more isolated than you would otherwise expect. Both gases now finishing up in the main base for JonnyREcco. The Roach Warren is currently halfway done, and we are going to be taking a third and fourth gases, the natural expansion at the moment for Grubby. So Grubby has a lot of options on his plate at the moment. Obviously, his tech was delayed by the cannons going off at the start of the game. That's normal. You have to spend 100 minerals. In fact, he spent 400 minerals. This is a nexus worth of minerals spent at this third base location to prevent JonnyREcco from doing what he wanted to. So naturally, it's going to delay him a little bit, but he still has basically all of the options open to him. He's getting +1. He's actually being very flexible with his build at the moment, getting a couple of sentries. So that tells me it's not going to be any sort of super early tech or anything like that, because that gas is being used there. And he's getting 3 more gateways inside his main base, as well as a Twilight Council. So it looks like blink-based play is going to be the order of the day now, as this Overlord from JonnyREcco is moving in towards the main base, and this sentry trying his best to tickle him to death, but it looks like JonnyREcco is going to be able to spot the tech. Very, very nicely played there from JonnyREcco. He knows that the Twilight Council is incoming now. He sees the 3 gateways going down, so 4-gate blink is likely to be popping up. The only question on JonnyREcco's mind right now is whether there is a robotics facility. Are we going to be seeing Blink Observer? Do we get to see Blobs play coming out of Grubby on Ohana? And it looks like the answer might be yes here, because we have the robotics facility currently about halfway done at the natural expansion. In the meantime, we have got the third base more or less completely saturated from JonnyREcco. His creep spread, notice, it's angling towards the middle of the map. He's not using this line of creep spread to connect his natural expansion to his third base location, because he should be able to do that with the creep tuners coming out from the natural. Instead, he wants to get as much presence into the center of the map as quickly as possible so that he has maximum time to react should any attacks come in. JonnyREcco also, with this Overlord, spotting the timing here from the third nexus of Grubby, so he might be able to use that for some sort of timing attack. We have got Immortal now actually being moved out here from Grubby. So he's not actually going for that Observer first. He's going to get an Immortal to try and dissuade any sort of early Roach play. We have now got the hatchery getting put down at the original third base location from JonnyREcco, able to pick apart those cannons and that lingering pylon with the help of a couple of Roaches as well. +1 attack is on the way, and we have Zergling Speed about to finish. Glial Reconstitution is also on the way, and Blink is now about 2/3 of the way done, with +2 ground weapons on the way now for Grubby, as JonnyREcco takes a forward location on the map with some Zerglings. In the meantime, Grubby looking like he wants to at least partially, if not fully, wall off his third base with gateways, and who can blame him for it? It's going to make him a lot less susceptible to potential attacks from JonnyREcco and Zergling run-bys as well. He has a decent number of sentries and an Immortal here, so JonnyREcco may want to think twice before moving in, sending in a couple of Links and a Changeling just to check out exactly what's going on. Nice reactions there from Grubby, able to take out that Changeling before it actually got to see anything. And JonnyREcco now moving out with more Lings out towards this side of the map, trying to see if he can get a word in edgeways, but it doesn't look like he will be able to do so with this much defense here. And Overseer just going to be checking everything out in the main base as well, but he doesn't spot the robotics bay going on behind the main base. So this Overseer actually missed the crucial bit of tech that Grubby is going for at the moment. In this game, we're going to be seeing Blink going into Colossus, and no, it looks like he is actually going to go back and see the robotics bay there. So there we go. Already fully complete. He sees that it isn't researching anything, so Extended Thermal Lance is not an option on the field at the moment. But JonnyREcco on the second pass was able to get all the information he needed. Another Overseer going to be popping in down here, just in case any tech is being hidden at the third base location, as Extended Thermal Lance is now up and running for Grubby. That's going to complete in about 2 minutes' time in-game, of course, as JonnyREcco now about halfway through his Pathogen Glance and going for an awful lot of Roaches. The problem is, though, is that Grubby has a lot of Immortals with this army composition. If we take a quick look, he hasn't got an Observer out on the map. He's been using that robotics facility purely for Immortals, and that's going to do fantastic things for him against the army composition of JonnyREcco at the moment, because those Roaches are not going to like those Immortals one bit at all. So once we get Immortals out on the field, we have Extended Thermal Lance and a couple of Colossi out as well, and we don't actually see any Blink Observer play. This army is going to be very, very difficult to meet head on. Grubby's not going for the hit and run style. He's going for the smash your face in with a sledgehammer style, and for all we know, it could end up working. 134 supply to 166 at the moment, as +3 is on the way now for Grubby. Worker supply is 74 to 70 in favor of JonnyREcco, who now has an awful lot of army moving out across the map, but he is at 1-0 upgrades, and Grubby's at 2-0, and there are a lot of Immortals and Sentries with this composition. I don't think JonnyREcco is completely confident he'll be able to take that cost effectively, so he has to be very, very careful for now. Very delicately poised here in the middle of the map. A blink forward from Grubby, perhaps not the best one. Immediately retreating with the Stalkers, losing only one in the process. The heavy units, though, the Immortals, the Colossus, are still with the main army, so not too much to worry about. And it looks like a couple of Creep Troopers are going to get taken out here. An Observer finally joining up with this army on the field, so just making one there. And a Hallucinated Phoenix is going to spot exactly where this army is. A lot of Corruptors popping out now around at the same time as the Hive is completing for JonnyREcco. That's going to be pretty important going later on into the game, because we'll see if Grubby is able to do some sort of timing as the Greater Spire goes down here in the main base. The Hive is now complete. We're going to be watching out for when that Greater Spire takes place, but it looks like the engagement is going to start long before that actually happens. The Lings and the Roaches moving in towards this location here. Is Grubby going to be able to hold on the high ground? It looks like it, but will JonnyREcco be able to use this opportunity to try and pick up the third base? The army from Grubby is out of position, but it's a very, very powerful army. Make no mistake about that. The Corruptor's coming in, picks off a Colossus, and no, he doesn't pick off the Colossus. He flies back with literally one hit point. There we go, picks off one. The second one is gone as well, but now the ground army is being torn to shreds by these Stalkers and the Immortals. A lot of them aren't firing up top, but it's not going to matter. The Sentries have excellent force fields in. A couple of Lings moving into the middle line, but they don't actually kill that many workers. And now JonnyREcco trying to move into the natural expansion. Great warp in from Grubby, preventing those Roaches from actually chasing the Colossus. And we have a bit of a burrow here at the natural expansion, but it's not going to matter because an Observer is on top of the army, and JonnyREcco loses absolutely everything in that engagement. Let's take a look at the resources lost tab. We can see that JonnyREcco is trailing by about 1,500 at the moment, but crucially, these Immortals still survive for Grubby. They're going to be able to do so much damage against a Roach-centric army later on in the game. A lot of Zealots being warped in at this forward pylon now. He could be looking to give this base a run for its money, and this would be a great time for a counterattack. 9 Roaches on the way for JonnyREcco, but will he be able to get them back in time? Where is the Greater Spire? The Greater Spire has not actually started, so he's scrambling right now to try and get enough units to defend against this. The Infestors have been zoned out by the force fields, and JonnyREcco once again is having to move back. He just has not got the concave that he really wants against Grubby at the moment. The positioning from the Protoss is simply too good at this moment in time, and he is retreating all the way up into his natural. And Grubby is using this opportunity to send in the Zealots at the third base location. Transfusing the Spine Crawlers is a great delaying tactic, and some Lings actually popping out as well, so it looks like he'll be able to hold on here. But look at this army composition at this base. That's going to go down without a shadow of a doubt, and I wonder what JonnyREcco can do against a 175 to 178 supply at the moment, as the last Zealot is now getting taken out by the Queen. Should be okay there, but look how fearsome this army composition is. 113 to 109 army supply in favor of JonnyREcco, but a lot of that is in Corruptors, ladies and gentlemen, and they don't shoot Immortals very well. So let's see if Grubby can attempt to convert this, or if JonnyREcco is going to try and get up to Broodlords in time. It looks like this third base is actually going to be forfeit as well. Burrowing the drones in the back there. Does Grubby see that they're burrowed? He does not. Maybe they'll be spared, but the Observer popping in as well, and nope, an offensive Lincoln ensures that's not going to happen. The Greater Spire only now just finishing, so JonnyREcco still has to morph in Broodlords after this as well, and this is just such a painful time in the game for him. Grubby has taken out 2 bases. He is completely maxed out. He's at 193 of 198. He can warp in any time he wants. He's completely comfortable right now. And a timing attack right now before the Broodlords pop would be absolutely lethal to JonnyREcco. And it looks like he's going to do just that against the third base. There are 9 Broodlords on the way. 7 of them going to complete soon. In between the main base and the natural expansion. But it's this base that's getting taken out once again. And a force field sorting out all of those drones. They get taken down. 35 workers killed to 15 this game so far. We have a couple of Overseers, but nothing significant going on from JonnyREcco on that side of the map. He's going to try and go for a little bit of a flank by the looks of things here. Moving down the normal ramp to his natural, not wanting to get zoned out by those force fields, but Grubby is sitting there and waiting. We have got the Broodlords out now as well. Offensive blink forward, picks off one Broodlord immediately. That was a one-hit kill there. The upgrades are +3 attack for Grubby, and only 1-1 for JonnyREcco, but the Broodlords are doing quite good damage from afar. He just has to sit back and play this very patiently indeed. 137 to 186 supply at the moment in favor of Grubby, who is a 40 supply lead. Another blink forward, one more Broodlords goes down, but there are quite a few of them remaining actually. There are still 9 left on the field. The Colossus absolutely tearing through this ground army, and yet another offensive link picking apart the Broodlords. But now look at this, the Stalkers are actually starting to dwindle in number, only a couple of them left, and he doesn't have shields on the ones that are remaining as well. So Grubby has tried to do a bit of damage, but perhaps overextended just a little bit there. Roach even picking off a Colossus or two, and now he's going to have to fall back as JonnyREcco starts remaxing on the ground. I think Grubby underestimated there just how much firepower JonnyREcco had in the air, and perhaps he didn't quite think he'd be able to take apart all those Broodlords, but it looks like it's JonnyREcco's turn now to overextend himself. He has moved out a long way from creep, ladies and gentlemen, and 3 or 4 Broodlords, 5 Broodlords getting taken out almost immediately. And yes, these Stalkers have gone down, but think about how much was invested into those Broodlords. This is absolutely brutal for both sides. This is a slogging match. Grubby has actually lost all of his army as well, and this Colossus is in danger getting taken down if he's not careful due to any sort of units in the back, but it looks like he'll be fine there. Only 1 Broodlord remaining in this location right now, but Grubby has lost everything, 81 to 86 supply. Who would have thought the supplies would drop this quickly, this far into a ZVP? The worker count is currently 63 to 40 in Grubby's favor because JonnyREcco has not been able to keep a base up, and that could be what tells this game in the long run. Both of these guys are beating each other up bad, but here's the thing. We have minerals and gas advantage going towards Grubby at the moment. We see a little bit of a counterattack against this base here. The cannon looking like it's not going to quite be able to defend. These zealots will get taken down. The cannon will probably go down as well, and then we'll see a little bit of harassment against the Nexus, but nothing a couple of Warpins can't fix. There we go. And Grubby is now going to be pulling back 102 supply to 77. JonnyREcco trying to do some damage, but ultimately just unable to do quite as much as Grubby has just done to him. He is stuck on 2 bases at the moment, with his main base almost mined out. Only 60 minerals left on that patch. Poor lone drone has to mine out the remainder of that. And Grubby is sitting pretty on 4 bases, and I think that means that Grubby should be able to just sit tight, relax, and wait for the late game because he is mining so much more than his opponent right now. There's 1 burrowed roach in the back here that it looks like Grubby doesn't quite see because the observer isn't moved into position, so he suspects he's killed them all, but 1 roach isn't going to be able to do too much damage too quickly. So I don't think JonnyREcco will be able to make that work too much in his favor. The Broodlords are now back out for him, though, and he has got quite a few left here. I think he's morphing in his 7th one at the moment. Yes, that's exactly right, but his supply is 77, and Grubby's supply is 132, and that's only going to get worse and worse as he continues to mine more than his opponent. JonnyREcco now going to try and retake a 3rd base, but if we take a look, there's a pylon here at the 4th location. There's a zealot here where JonnyREcco's 3rd base used to be. Grubby just knows exactly when JonnyREcco is trying to expand at the moment, and he is happy to sit back and relax. He doesn't have to attack JonnyREcco until he thinks JonnyREcco might be coming onto income parity with him, and as long as he's mining a lot more, it's not going to matter too much at the end of the day. So Grubby looking to starve JonnyREcco out and just go for a very slow, very methodical, very chilled out death push here, knowing that he is simply able to produce a lot more than his opponent, and that's exactly how you should be playing your late game. Really, really great stuff coming out from Grubby. As he moves across the map, he's actually getting Wow, he's getting a plus shields as well at the moment by the looks of things. And it looks like, wow, that's being bugged out at the moment. For some reason, that's not completing. There we go. It's about halfway done. So in another minute or so, he'll have +1 shields, which would be super useful for those Archons. Look at the number of High Templar. A storm is certainly coming JonnyREcco's way, and he's not going to like that one bit at all. More Broodlords being morphed in at the natural, but don't forget, he's still only on 89 supply. 37 workers to 67. If this army dies, that is effectively it. Storm going down, second storm going down, third storm going down, blink forward, and oh my goodness, the Broodlords are dying by the droves right now. Yet another one goes down, and GG gets called from JonnyREcco as the perfect storm from Grubby marches towards his natural expansion. He takes the lead in this best of 7 show match, 2-1.